This video was made possible thanks to the support of our amazing patrons. We couldn't do this without you.
Don't forget that you can support the channel for free and receive 10% off orders over $10 of Flipside Gaming by using the promo code Affinity at the checkout. Or if TCG Player or Magic Madhouse are more your thing, then be sure to place your order through our affiliate links in the description. Once again, at no extra cost to yourselves.
Hello everybody and welcome to another EDH gameplay video brought to you by Affinity for Commander. My name is Martin.
And my name is Alex.
Given that we are unable to meet people in person to play Commander and I am quickly running out of pre-recorded games, we thought we'd try something we've never done before. Webcam Commander. This has allowed us to play games with people all over the world, such as a lovely gentleman in today's episode, Kirby from the Commander Tavern and Philip from Near Royal House of Pricey Cardboard. If you don't follow these guys already, I'll leave links in the description to their channels, so be sure to check them out. So without further ado, let's take a look at those opening hands. I'm playing my Kalamax the Stormsire spell copying deck. I keep an opening hand containing Pongify, Young Pyromancer, Swiftfoot Boots, Factor Fiction, Kessig Wolfrun, Mossfire Valley, and a super awesome looking Katria Triome. So pretty.
I'm playing my Zaxara the Exemplary Tribal X Cost Spells deck. My opening hand consists of Arcane Signet, Dimir Signet, Freed from the Reel, Beast Whisperer, Overgrown Tomb, and 2 Swamps.
Kirby is playing his Nekusar the Mindrazor wheel deck and keeps a starting hand of Sol Ring, Raider's Wake, Magus of the Jar, Reliquary Tower, Steam Vents, an island, and a mountain.
And finally, Philip is playing his Sidisi Brood Tyrant Self-Mill deck. His opening hand is made up of Swan Song, Drana, Liberator of Malakia, Gravespawn Sovereign, Command Tower, Drowned Catacomb, Llanowar Wastes, and a Forest.
I win the die roll and start the game off by playing a super fancy Katria Triome. I then pass to Alex.
I play Overgrown Tomb, having it entered tapped, and then pass the turn.
Philip plays Drowned Catacomb and ends his turn.
Kirby plays an island and then casts Sol Ring. He then passes to Martin.
I play Survivor's Encampment and cast Young Pyromancer. I then pass the turn.
I play a Swamp and cast Arcane Signet before ending my turn.
Philip plays an island and passes to Kirby.
Kirby plays Steam Vents, having it entered tapped. He then passes the turn.
I play Mossfire Valley and cast Swiftfoot Boots. I then attach the shoes to my Pyromancer and move to combat, attacking Kirby for 2 damage. With nothing more to do, I end my turn.
I play a Forest and cast Kiora's Follower. Next I cast Dimir Signet and pass to Philip.
Philip plays Command Tower and casts Drana, Liberator of Malakia. He then passes the turn.
Kirby plays a Mountain and casts Magus of the Jar before ending his turn.
I play Kessig Wolfrun and cast my commander, Kalamax the Stormsire. I then pass to Alex.
I play a Forest and cast my commander, Zaxara the Exemplary. Not yet finished, I cast Astral Cornucopia where X is 1. Zaxara's ability triggers, making me a 0/0 Hydra creature token that enters with a +1/+1 counter, and I pass the turn.
Philip plays Llanowar Waste and moves to combat. He attacks me with his Flying Vampire, dealing me 2 damage, and Drana's ability then triggers. Philip puts a +1/+1 counter on his creature and moves to his second main phase. Here he casts his commander, Sidisi Brood Tyrant, and mills 3 cards of her ETB. He mills 2 creatures, including a cheeky Felth, and creates a 2/2 zombie thanks to Sidisi's ability. Philip then ends his turn.
Kirby begins his turn by sacrificing his mages, forcing everybody to exile their hands and draw 7 new cards. Next he plays Wooded Foothills, triggering Martin's hatred of off-colour fetch lands.
I hate you, Kirby.
Kirby then pays 1 life, sacrificing the Foothills to put bad lands into play, flexing harder than a professional bodybuilder. He then casts Bone Miser and moves to his end step. Everybody discards their hands and returns a card that they exiled earlier in the turn to their hands. Bone Miser triggers 5 times when Kirby discards his hand, making him 2 2/2 zombies and drawing him 3 cards. Kirby then moves to his cleanup step, discarding 2 non-creature, non-land cards, which allows him to draw another 2 cards with Bone Miser. He then discards a creature and a land, creating a 3rd zombie, and passes to Martin.
I play Scavenger Grounds and cast Ral, Storm Conduits. I activate his +2 ability, scrying 2, and then move to combat. I attack Philip with my dinosaur and he blocks with Sidisi and a zombie. Before damage, I tap my Pyromancer to make a blue mana with Survivor's Encampment, which I use to cast Pongify. I copy the spell and put a +1/+1 counter on Kalamax, targeting Bone Miser and Sidisi with the 2 spells. The chosen creatures are destroyed and their controllers are compensated with 3/3 apes. Young Pyromancer then triggers, making me a 1/1 elemental, and Ral triggers, dealing 1 damage to Alex. Kalamax then stomps the zombie, blocking him, and I pass the turn.
In my turn, I cast Beast Whisperer, play a forest, and end my turn.
Philip casts Arcane Signet and then casts Ramen-Up Excavator. He then plays the Crypt of Agadeem in his graveyard and moves to combat. Philip attacks Kirby with Drana and Ral with his ape. No blockers are declared and Drana deals 3 damage to Kirby with her first strike. Her ability then triggers, putting a +1/+1 counter on both Philip's attacking creatures, and Ral takes 4 damage from the Angry Primate. With nothing more to do, Philip passes to Kirby.
Kirby moves straight to combat, attacking Ral with 2 zombies. Martin declares no blocks, allowing the Planeswalker's loyalty to hit 0, and Kirby moves to his second main phase. Here he casts Talisman of Indulgence and casts his commander, Nekusar the Mind Eraser. Kirby then plays Watery Grave, having it enter tapped, and passes the turn.
I draw 2 cards and lose 2 life thanks to Nekusar, and then move to combat. I attack Philip with my commander, dealing him 5 damage, and end my turn.
I draw 2, lose 2, and cast Capricorpian, where X is 3. I make a Hydra that enters with 3 +1/+1 counters, and draw a card with Beast Whisperer's ability, losing another life to Nekusar. With nothing more to do, I pass to Philip.
Philip draws 2 cards, loses 2 life, and plays the Hinterland Harbour in his graveyard. Next he recasts his commander, milling 3 cards with her ETB. Philip mills 0 creatures, causing him to feel the big sad, and then moves to combat. He attacks Alex with Drana and Kirby with his Excavator, both of which have Swamp Walk thanks to the filth in his graveyard. Alex responds by casting Beast Within, destroying Drana, and replacing her with a 3/3 Beast token. Kirby then takes 2 damage, and Philip proceeds to his post-combat main phase. Here he casts Crypt Breaker and passes the turn.
Kirby draws 2 cards and plays Temple of the False God. Next he casts Obosh, the Prey Piercer, which is a really scary card considering the Nekusar has a CMC of 5. Still not finished, Kirby casts Windfall, and Martin responds by casting Prophetic Bolt. He copies the spell, putting a +1/+1 counter on Kalamax, and makes a 1/1 elemental. Martin then chooses to deal 4 damage to Nekusar and Zaxara, and I respond by tapping my commander to add 2 blue mana to my mana pool. I then untap the Nightmare Hydra with Kyora's Follower and tap it again to produce another 2 blue mana. Nekusar is then destroyed, and Martin puts one of the top 4 cards of his library into his hand. Zaxara is then destroyed, and Martin looks at the next 4 cards in his library, selecting one to put into his hand. Windfall then finally resolves, and everybody discards their hands. We each draw 6 cards, with Kirby revealing that he had Tainted Strike in his hand, which would have won in the game if Nekusar was still around. Such tragedy. Kirby then casts Talisman of Dominance and ends his turn.
I play Yavimaya Coast and then cast Sol Ring. Next I move my Swiftfoot Boots over to my Elemental Dinosaur and pass to Alex.
I play Llanowar Waste and recast my multi-headed commander. I draw a card thanks to Beast Whisperer and then move to combat. Here I attack Philip with my Capricorpian and he blocks with his 4/4 ape. My Goat Hydra dies and I instantly regret my stupid decision. Hanging my head in shame, I pass the turn. In response, Martin uses his Survivor Encampment to tap Kalamax, adding a green mana to his mana pool. He then casts Reclaim, copying the spell, putting a +1/+1 counter on his commander. He makes an elemental with his Pyromancer, then puts Twin Cast and Ral's Storm Conduit on top of his library. Philippe then moves to his turn.
Philippe plays Phyrexian Tower and then moves to combat. He attacks me with his ape and Kirby with Sidisi, triggering the Naga's ability. Philippe mills 2 creatures, making him a zombie, and I respond by casting Opt. I make an elemental, copy the spell, and put a +1/+1 counter on my dinosaur. I then draw Ral and twin cast and block the ape with the elemental that I just created. Kirby is unable to block, taking 3 damage, and Philippe proceeds to his second main phase. Here he adds 7 black mana to his mana pool with Crypt of Agadeem and casts Victimize. Philippe sacrifices his beast to return Sidisi, Undead Vizier, and Gravespawn Sovereign to the battlefield tapped, and then sacrifices his ape to Sidisi's exploit ability. He then searches his library for a card, puts it into his hand, and casts Bane of Progress. Everybody's artifacts are destroyed, and Philippe puts 9 +1/+1 counters on his Bane. With nothing more to do, Philippe ends his turn.
Kirby plays an island and then recasts his commander. Next he casts Winds of Change, and I respond by casting Putrefy, targeting Kalamax. The Stegosaurus is destroyed and Winds of Change resolves. Everybody shuffles their hands into their libraries. I draw 6 cards, Philippe draws 5, Kirby draws 4, and Martin draws 5. I then take 12 damage from the combined effects of Nekusar and Obosh, and Philippe and Martin each take 10. Kirby then passes to Martin.
I draw 2 cards, taking 4 damage from Nekusar, and play Rugged Highland, gaining 1 life back. I then recast my commander, and pass the turn.
I draw 2, take 4, and cast Wildest Dreams, where X is 2. I make a Hydra with 2 +1/+1 counters on it, and return Free from the Real and Blue Sun Zenith from my graveyard to my hand. I then cast the Real, attaching it to my commander. I then create infinite mana by tapping Zaxara to create 2 mana and untapping them with my aura over and over again, and cast the Blue Sun Zenith in my hand where X is 9000. I make a Hydra with 9000 +1/+1 counters on it and force Kirby to draw 9000 cards, knocking him out of the game. Still not finished, I cast Stroke of Genius, drawing my entire library, and then cast Torment of Hailfire, where X is 100. Both my opponents take lethal damage, and I am crowned the victor.
Well, that's it for our first ever long distance EDH game. We'd like to express our utmost thanks to Kirby and Philippe for joining us for this super fun game. We loved every minute of it. Be sure to check out their channels to see more of our crossover games, as well as deck text for the decks that they used. And as always, don't forget that you can support this channel in 4 quick and easy ways: subscribing, liking the video, clicking that bell icon, and leaving us a comment. I read every one. Also, be sure to check out our Patreon for exclusive rewards, and follow us on social media. Links to all are in the description. That's it for now though, we'll see you next time.